In the 1920s, Cardiff City experienced something of a golden era, at one point losing the top flight only on goal average, and won their sole major honour in the FA Cup in 1927. And a key part of this success was Scottish forward Hughie Ferguson. He scored dozens of goals for the club over a 4-year period, including the most important in the club's entire history. However, only 1 year after leaving the Bluebirds, his life came to a tragic end. This is the story of Hughie Ferguson, Cardiff City's tragic hero. Hughie Ferguson was born in Motherwell, Scotland on the 2nd of March 1895. He began his career with junior side Parkhead and played a key part as they won the 1915 Scottish Junior Cup. He was gaining attention, and the move to Manchester City was only stopped due to the outbreak of World War I. The 15-16 season saw Ferguson net more than 70 goals to the club, and he would make the move into professional football, signing for Motherwell. The goals continued to follow him, as he netted twice on his debut for the club. He had finished his debut campaign with 25 goals, and began the next season with 4 goals on the opening day. He would finish this campaign with 34 goals, and would continue scoring, netting less than 20 goals only twice, and achieved a record-breaking season with 42 league goals in the 2021 campaign. He was linked with moves to England, but it ended up being Wales that became his new home. In November 1925, Hughie Ferguson signed for Cardiff City for a fee of £5,000. He left Motherwell having netted 311 goals in 324 games for them, and was so popular that on the day of his departure, the local steelworks closed for a period so the workers could wave goodbye. Cardiff had reached the FA Cup final the previous season, and were hopeful the signing of Ferguson could take them over the line. The Scots goal scoring would follow him to the Welsh capital, as he netted on his debut against Leicester. Despite only playing in the second half of the campaign, Ferguson finished as the club's top scorer with 19 goals, a tally that helped his side climb the table and avoid relegation. He would carry his scoring into the next campaign. He was deployed as an inside right rather than the centre forward, but this did nothing to stop him, as he would score 26 goals in 39 league games. There was also a date with destiny, as Cardiff would play in a second FA Cup final at Wembley. Ferguson put the club's luck down to a cat. The Cardiff team had met a black cat before their game against Bolton that followed them and showed particular affection towards Hughie. Ferguson tracked down the owners of the cat and promised them tickets to the final if the squad could borrow Trixie the cat for the remainder of the tournament. Ferguson had scored a brace in the semi-final against Chelsea, and they would now face Arsenal at Wembley, with Trixie coming with the squad for good luck. It would be a significant final, with it being the first to be broadcast on BBC Radio, and also the first where Abide With Me was sung before kick-off. In front of nearly 100,000 supporters, Ferguson finally hoped that for all his goals, he could finally add a trophy to his collection. The game was a tight one, and it would be Ferguson who provided the decisive moment. In the 74th minute, he shot towards goal, and it was initially partially caught by Dan Lewis in the Arsenal net, but he stumbled as Cardiff attackers closed in, and the ball fumbled into the net. Cardiff took the lead, and this solitary goal would be enough. Cardiff held on to become the only ever Welsh team to win the FA Cup. The men from the capital of Wales had been victorious in the capital of England, and to date it remains their only major trophy. Hughie Ferguson had been a hero in Scotland, but was now one in Wales and England too, thanks in part to little cat Trixie that Cardiff would now permanently adopt. Ferguson helped his side win the Charity Shield the next season, and was still in scoring form, but had issues of injuries, not playing more than 3 consecutive matches after Christmas. He would still net 25 goals in all competitions, and added more to his trophy cabinet with the Welsh Cup, scoring both goals in the 2-0 victory over Bangor in the final. His injury woes would continue though, with Cardiff sorely missing Ferguson whenever he was out, but despite only playing 20 league games, he still finished as their top scorer, his 14th consecutive season where he was the top scorer for his side. With Cardiff struggling in the league and financially too, the Bluebirds were open to offers for Ferguson. In June 1929, he would return home, signing for Dundee. His body was waning by this point, and he would only net a measly 2 goals for the club. Supporters expressed disappointment in Ferguson, and one particularly heavily criticised performance saw him dropped by the first team, with Ferguson badly suffering with cramp throughout. It would be the final game of his life. The pressures by now were getting to Ferguson, with his former Motherwell teammates saying he had a melancholic demeanour. His body wasn't what it once was, and his family said an imbalance of the inner ear was affecting his balance, something they later felt may have been an undiagnosed brain tumour. The pressures and fall from grace so soon after scoring a dream goal had taken its toll on Ferguson, and he felt his usefulness as a footballer was no more. Soon, the footballing world was shocked. On the 9th of January, Hughie Ferguson's body was found in the kitchens of Dundee's Dens Park. He had gassed himself in the club kitchens. He left behind a wife and 2 children. He would be taken back to his hometown of Motherwell, where he was buried. He was 34 years old. Hughie Ferguson is one of the most tragic tales of English football. A man with a goal-scoring tally nearly any striker would be jealous of, he ripped defences to shreds and became adored by both Motherwell and Cardiff. He achieved the dream of scoring the winner in an FA Cup final, and Cardiff will forever be in his debt for this moment. It is just tragic that such a successful player felt so worthless towards the end of his career that taking his own life felt like the only answer. His life was short, but it gave the young footballing world so many goals and memorable moments. Without the name Hughie Ferguson, Cardiff City may well have not achieved their greatest day, and so he is perhaps the most important bluebird ever to fly the skies of the Welsh capital.